Hello and welcome to the GRADD Dialogue. My guest today is Bob Whitmer. Bob, the airport manager, I guess that's the title is, or the CEO, or chief operating officer. Anything you talk about at the Owensboro Airport is Bob Whitmer. Bob has been on the GRADD Dialogue many years, not only in his present capacity, but also when he was city manager, at the Owensboro City. I think it was 11 years or so, assistant manager.
The
So
city
you were
manager
in
5.
public life for a long time, then in school systems and David Hawker and associates. So anyway, we're not going to talk about any of those things.
Nobody's interested in that now.
Did you guys know that he announced his retirement? And again, we're not going to talk about that either. But we are going to talk about something that Bob asked me to his office along with some other folks, and a kind of great opportunity for Owensboro residents in trying to expand the skills and also provide the high earning skills and being afford as a pilot. So, Bob, that's the reason more or less I want to talk to you. And welcome to the GRADD Dialogue. And I'm going to miss you, since you announced that you'll be retaring end of this
We
year.
see each other at the health park.
At the health park too.
regularly,
Yes. So I'm going to have to stay healthy, so I can see you at the health park too. We talked about, you had a great idea working with the Cape Air and all those things, about the pilot school. But I think before we do that, in your tenure as the airport manager at the Owensboro Davis County, regional airport, kind of tell us about, what has transpired and what is going on. I see quite a few construction cranes and everything else too. So then before we can talk about the project that you are, really great.
From just a capital projects perspective, there has been a lot going on. The last 10 years. We finished the 8,000-foot runway, which is a tremendous asset for any city the size of Owensboro. Very few cities have, our size have a runway like that. Lexington's 7,200 and ours is 8,000. Plus we have a crosswind runway of 5,000 to complement that. So that's a big asset. We've also put in a $2 million instrument landing system.
Wow.
So, it's with the length and the technology along with that, 150 feet wide, it's a very safe entrance and exit for the aircraft in Owensboro, so it's a real plus.
People will say, why would Owensboro have 8,000 feet runway and everything else? But because you guys were planning and be ready for any kind of airline or air carrier connected industries, for the air park, as well as hoping that some additional carriers would come in. And so,
absolutely, you can land and depart about any size aircraft.
Including Air Force One?
Including Air Force One.
Yes.
And one thing that, a lot of the credit goes to who initiated that, and that was Wendell Ford years ago. But also much of the credit goes to Senator McConnell for finishing up, what he started. And so we're indebted to both of them in a big way. Because that's going to pay big dividends at some point. That complements an air control tower. There's 54 airports in Kentucky and only 6 have control towers. We're one of those 6, and that's a big safety feature of our airport, as well as that long, wide runway with the instrument landing system.
Right.
So anyone should be comfortable coming in to our community by air.
So you have right now 2 commercial airline service, the Cape Air and
We
Allegiant.
started Allegiant in 2009 when I came there, so they've been there going on 10 years. Wow. Cape Air started in 2012. Cape Air 3 times a day, early morning, midday, and late day, goes to St. Louis, comes back in. So, the value of that is that you can connect in St. Louis to about 75 destinations. So you can go about anywhere in the world because we've got that connection. And that was the justification for the Essential Air Service Program across the country, that communities like us, from a business economy perspective, needed to be able to get into that air transportation system, and we can with that. That's that's 7 days a week, 365 days
Wow.
a year. Now, Allegiant is a great service, but they're more for the leisure traveler, not the businesses.
Destination places.
Yeah, they go to Orlando, the most popular vacation destination in the United States, and they go a couple of times a week, which is usually convenient. People can go for 3 days, 4 days, 7 days, or any multiple of that. But that's not a real, in all honesty, a real business asset, other than you can just kind of boast that your community has 184 passenger flights leaving your community.
Bob, before I can bring up the recent festival that we had, in Owensboro, and airport, played a tremendous role in that. But I want to go back to what you just mentioned, that sometimes we hear that in order to have certain privileges or subsidy and everything else, there has to be a certain number of, boarding and landing and all those kind of things. And in the past, I was seeing some of the articles to the point that there was some trying times trying to keep the air tower in Owensboro, when they wanted to cut down some of the costs and all those things. But in your tenure, you have succeeded on both sides. In fact, recently there was something about that you were pretty close to having 10,000 numbers and all those. Can you tell us about those things?
We've been up to as much as 27,000 departures and about that many arrivals. That's when we had the Vegas and Orlando flights. But even now, we're about 22,000 departures, 22,000 arrivals. So the real threshold that you want to surpass is 10,000 employments, and employments means paid departures. So we're well above that, and what that means in FAA funding is that your funding goes from 150,000 a year to $1 million.
Wow.
So that means $850,000 to this airport and to this community, because we're subsidized by the city and the county, and we would be subsidized that much more if it wasn't for this what's called Part 139 FAA funding. So it's a big deal for a lot of reasons, and that's certainly financial being one.
Is that the reason you guys offer some discounted fare or the promotions and all those things?
Well, honestly, that's Allegiant's. That's their business plan. They don't offer all the perks. Quite honestly, but you can fly out of there sometimes to Orlando for $49.
Wow.
I mean, you pay for bags and you pay for special privileges. You don't get food. You don't get all the perks, but there is a clientele out there that's going to go for the price, as long as it's safe, and it is. They don't have. I mean, they'll complain that they don't have all those perks, but then I see them back again in 2 months, because fare in many cases dictates. Not for everybody, not for some of the more wealthy, but for a lot of the leisurely travelers that save up to go to Disney World, once a year, and they've got a family of 6, they're going to pay attention to that fare. And we have them travel great distances, to get those fares.
The 70 connection that you mentioned at the St. Louis Airport, connecting from Owensboro and everything else. What are those average prices going? Do you guys do the promotion on those?
Well, the Cape Air was down to $19 one way.
Wow.
And that includes taxes, fees, and luggage.
Oh my gosh!
And you can I think after October 1 they went to about 29, sometimes 39. If you're the last seat or so, they do just like the big airlines. It's all based on demand. Early on, certain times of the year, the flights, the fares are less. September's a great time to fly. If you've got the flexibility, that's what you ought to do. But you go around the holidays, you go in the middle of the summer, you go fall break, you go spring break, those fares will be greater. But still, almost routinely, Allegiant's fares will be less than the legacy carriers, meaning Delta and American, United and Southwest.
So let's talk about the air show that we had just recently.
Yeah.
This was another success, and was
That's a
tremendous
great,
crowd. At
I
the
like
airport,
talking about that.
Yeah, please.
We've had 6 air shows, and it's sponsored by the city. I need to make sure that's understood. City does a lot of the work. We coordinate with them, but we use a lot of their resources. Tim Ross is the one that organizes it. So I want to make sure we give credit where credit's due there. But our guys, we only have 4 full-time employees at the airport, and so we certainly complement that and get it ready. And on Friday night, which some people don't experience that, and if they haven't, they really should come out because it's not only the opportunity to see the planes and see the military aircraft, talk to the pilots, but they have a nighttime show, and the nighttime show is really something to see. I'd never seen one till last year, but we had it last year and this year. So as soon as the sun goes down, they have that, and then the fireworks that go with it. It's really special. We had. They had 11,000 ticket sales, but they think they had about 13,000 out there on our apron. And the air show in total brought about 70,000 people. It hasn't brought that many before, but
and I've been there twice, 2 or 3 times, and I think it's been a tremendous asset for Owensboro.
The real selling point this year were the Blue Angels, which are the elite group in the world. But they brought in the Thunderbirds. Pretty much equal to the Blue Angels, and the Snowbirds out of Canada are amazing, and then certainly all the acrobatic acts to complement.
So with a couple of minutes we have, I want to spend 1 minute talking about this big state-of-the-art fire department.
It is.
Almost $6 million? How much was that?
It is, and a lot of people are going to say, why in the world? Well, quite honestly, it follows the FAA's speculations. And that was 90% paid for by FAA money, and when you're an airport that has aircraft coming in with more than 66 passengers, which 184, we certainly reach that level. They want you to be prepared for an incident, so they want you trained for rescue and firefighting in an aircraft, which the Davis County Fire Department does. Somebody, our forefathers had a great idea when they kind of merged the airport needs with the county fire department, and it saved the community a lot of money. Some airports have their own fire personnel, and quite honestly, there's not anything for them to do, thank goodness. There's not a lot of incidents. So the county works, the West County, and they're there in case that, incident would happen at the airport. They're prepared. But the beauty of it is that they supply the personnel, and we supply, some of the fire trucks for the airport, the fire station, which I just said. Now the county is paying 5% of that.
So another way of also messaging that this is going to be safe, even flying from Owensboro Airport and everything else.
Yeah, and there's another thing, if I may add, and I don't know how much time I got here, but it's a fire station that's earthquake resistant. It's an amazing foundation. That's one reason it's so expensive.
It's amazing.
And so we've got the National Guard, we've got the infrastructure that I told you about. We have this new state-of-the-art fire station. We've got a runway that the military engineers have said it's the only one that would survive an earthquake in western Kentucky. So we're considered the readiness center for western Kentucky in case of a disaster. So that's not only good for western Kentucky, it's particularly good for Owensboro because all the personnel, equipment, and supplies are going to flow through Owensboro. And if we were to have that earthquake, we would be very, very fortunate to have that.
Bob, again, I have never enough time to talk about different things. I didn't get a chance to talk about the pilot school that you're working on with the Cape Air. That's going to be a great asset to us. And more importantly, what are your plans? Once the December 31st rolls in.
Well, I'll be doing something, but it'll be part time, and I'm going to hope to I've got family in a lot of different places in Tampa and Gainesville in Louisiana, and I've never really been in a position to travel much. So I intend to do that, and I've got sons in law school in Louisville, and one that's just moved to Lexington as working for a church. So I'm going to be spending a lot of time with them.
I want to wish you best of luck to you
Thank
and your
you.
family, and always enjoy our friendship in all different capacity, and for the GRADD and city and now airport. And with all the things you want to do after you retire, you may be the first candidate to get a pilot license, so you can travel all over.
That's right. Why do you think I put that together?
There you go. Yeah, right. It's a personal reason why you did that. Yeah. And thank you again being on the
You
GRADD
might be the
Dialogue.
second.
There you go. Yes. Yeah, go to California all the way. So, yeah. Again, thank you for watching GRADD Dialogue. We're talking to Bob Whitmer, the airport manager at the Owensboro County Regional Airports. A lot of things are happening, and a lot of things that will continue to happen. So again, if you have any questions, you can always contact Bob at the airport, or you can always contact me at the GRADD office. And have a great day. Thank you. Hello and welcome to the GRADD Dialogue. My guest today is Debbie Zuerner Johnson. She is the director of the community engagement at the Owensboro Health, where she oversees the community benefit work and community engagement for the hospital, the community health need assessment, implementation strategy. Guys, a long title for you. And along with that, she's also helps GRADD and myself into the regional health planning activities as well. Debbie was recently has won an award at the Southeast Area Agency on Aging Conference in Louisville. And we're going to talk about that along with some of the work that she has done as a part of the community engagement for the hospital. So Debbie, welcome on the GRADD Dialogue.
Thank you. Thanks, GRADD.
When you made a presentation at the GRADD board just recently, and that was with regard to a award that the N4A or SC4A gave to the hospital and also to the Monday Center or the Activity Center, and with some work. So we're going to talk about those things. But before we do that, if you allow me to kind of show the audience a 3-minute clip of that award. It's a great activities, and I think it's a great project. We are so proud of that as well.
Oh, so proud of that.
Thank
yes.
you. Please watch the audio and the video about that award, then we could come back and talk about the project itself.
Larry Little approached us last fall and told us there was something that he could take no longer, right? And that was that he knew that they were throwing away a lot of food. And in other places he had been, they worked with the community to be able to take that food somewhere to people in need.
We were able to look at the data, and the data showed us that there were seniors on the weekends that did not have food.
Larry told me about a program that Morrison's has for food donations.
Morrison has a program called Stop the Waste program. We know 40% of food in America is wasted. 1 in 6 Kentuckians struggle with hunger. I approached my client, Lisa Jones, to speak to her about set up a program where we can donate unused portions of our food to a suitable organization in the community.
And when he described that program, I thought this is consistent with our mission to improve the health of the communities that we serve. And so I was very interested in learning more about that and seeing how we could participate in that program.
We use our unused food that's totally repurposed for them. And I'm just very glad they're able to use that food for community service.
And so we're able to partner with Morrison's and the Monday Center to be able to deliver that food to them. And it's a wonderful project. It helps to keep those seniors that may otherwise come into the emergency department for malnutrition. At least we know that we're having an impact on them outside of the walls to help provide that continuum of care.
The problem we see with seniors is that they face isolation and they face malnutrition. Those are the two biggest challenges that we see. And when someone doesn't eat, they can't take the medicine as it's prescribed. When someone doesn't take the medicine as it's prescribed, then they become less healthy. Then they're readmitted to the hospital. Then they see their doctor more often.
Also remember looking at the readmission surveys that we do, and some of the answers to those readmission questions had to do with eating and food. And some of our patients who come into the hospital have not eaten.
And all of it is this terrible cycle of just deteriorating health, and then ultimately it shortens their lifespan.
and which is heart-wrenching to me. And to the seniors that get this, there's absolutely, it's a godsend. It's a tremendous blessing.
Been a great success, great partnership with the hospital and Morrison Food Service, providing meals to this. Year to date, we've provided 4,200 meals to the seniors Meals for Wheels program on the weekends.
It's all about the love that we have for each other. That's what community is supposed to be about, and that's what we are doing right here at Morrison Health and Owensboro Regional Hospital. That's what we're doing, and what I intend to continue doing throughout my career.
And when you put all those forces together, it's rewarding, it's humbling, but it's impactful, and that's the most important thing of all.
That if it went away, it would grip my heart a bit, because we would be forced to find other means that just aren't, they're just not available. They're just not available. For some of them, this is all they've got extra. So.
And it's a blessing that we can form this partnership with Owensboro Regional Health and Morrison Food Service. Words can explain how I feel. I've seen a smile to the seniors saying thank you very much for the meals that they received.
The SC4A, Debbie, was a great video, by the way. SC4A is a conference involving 8 southern states, and Kentucky is one of them, and Kentucky being the host this year. And they give out some of the creative awards for things that engaging the corporate as well as the community activities and dealing with the senior citizen. And can you talk about this video as well as why this project was developed and then been
Sure,
certified? Yeah.
Love to. The video highlights, it gives you a great highlight of the program itself, but I'll just add to that just a little bit and get into the details of really how this happened. And receiving that award, the SC4A award, as well as the Kentucky award, was just a really, it was an honor, but as we talk about in the video, it's really about the replication of that and the sharing of that knowledge, which we're doing here today, and I thank you so much for this opportunity. That's going to be the important thing. So we'll talk about that, but I'll tell you, it was almost a year ago. It was a year ago in September that Larry Little, who is the Director of Food Services for Morrison's Healthcare, approached Lisa Jones, the Vice President of Ancillary Services at Owensboro Health, and just simply said that we had to do something because they were throwing away a lot of food.
I see.
And what I mean by that are those trays and bowls of food that are prepared in case that they need it for the cafeteria or for patient census. But if it is not used, it's already prepared. If it's not used, it's been thrown away. Right. And Larry said, we just can't do that anymore. And so Lisa called Steve Johnson and I, Steve's the Vice President of Government and Community Affairs, and myself to the table, and we just really talked about what we need to do and who we need to contact. So first and foremost, I did a little homework. So I reached out to community partners, and whether a lot of people know this or not, but there's a congregate meal in our community for lunch and dinner every single day of the year. So we knew that there's a lot of needs being met through those congregate meals. But I had just come off of looking at a lot of readmissions work for the hospital. We have a focus on older adults and aging, so I'm kind of zero in on that work. And we started gathering some information, and what we found that there were seniors coming to our hospital who truly had not eaten.
Right.
And so we went back to the table, and I said, I want to reach out to Dana Peevler at what was the Mundy Center. It's now the Owensboro Davis County Senior Center. We reached out to Dana and 2 members of your staff, Jennifer Williams and Leslie Wilson, and we met together with Larry and Lisa and Steve and I, and we said, we're going to throw out this idea. Let's see if there's something that we can do together. And so what came of that was a meeting in October, and then we began to implement this program in December after a visit to the Monday Center. And what was decided, there are many people on the Meals on Wheels program.
The waiting list.
Yes, well, there's many people on the program and many people on the waiting list.
Right.
And that's a Monday through Friday
Right.
meal delivery that's contracted through through GRADD and the Monday Activity Center, Senior Citizen Center. They deliver those home meals. What we learned was that there are no meals on the weekend.
Right.
And even though we talked about, and as you saw in the video, that there are congregate meals available if you are a senior in your home and you cannot get out. On the weekends, what we were told is that on Thursday and Friday, they take those meals, they split them in half, and they use those for their meals on the weekend.
Right.
So that was a serious problem. So we got it. We got all the different components worked out. And so what happens now is the senior center comes to the hospital. We have those meals, those trays
Packaged,
available. They pick them up. They take them back to the Monday Center. They are able to repackage them and deliver them on Thursday and Friday. To date, Jiten, and this was implemented last December, so not even a full year yet. They've delivered over 5,800 meals.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah, because we do have a contract with Canteen, and we contract with them to prepare about 11 to 1,200 meals a day, and even there also oftentimes. It does not meet the demand that we have.
Sure.
We are lucky to have in the past Davis County Fiscal Court put some money. United Way put some money. At the same, still it is difficult for Davis County, and but you guys dreamed about this kind of common sense approach. If you think about it,
really is.
Yeah. It's amazing, and I think I don't know if I mentioned to you or not, but after your presentation at the GRADD board, some of the folks like the mayor of Mayor Steve Austin of Henderson, he right away, sent an email to the Methodist Hospital and all the folks in Henderson County was involved. Said, by the way, we should be looking into those things, and I believe that he's in contact with you as well. So, and we have also talked to other hospitals too. So I think it's a great opportunity for you to do that. I was happened to be in a conference last week, and I was sitting with one of the Morrison cafeteria corporate guys. And they were talking about they're looking at as a corporate policy to do the same thing. So.
Well, I want to talk about that because Larry Little is with Morrison's Healthcare, and Morrison's has a program called Stop the Waste, and so. Corporately across the nation, they are trying to stop food waste, and that's basically where the concept from Larry's perspective came from. That we have this program. What can we do? Who can we give this food to? There were some quick decisions that could have been made, but we didn't make those quick decisions. We really wanted to look at where the greatest need was. And so you take a corporate partner like Morrison's Healthcare and Owensboro Health and GRADD and the Monday Center, Senior Center. You still getting used to that name, right? Sorry, Dana, I'm still working on that. But you take those entities together, and you're right. It's really common sense. We've got food, doesn't need to be wasted. We've got seniors in need who can't get out to a congregate meal. And so the exciting thing is that, yes, we've served over 5,800 meals, but just this week, Dana gave me some information that they've analyzed, and they do some pre and post test as a requirement, actually, for the Meals on Wheels program. But they specifically looked at those individuals who are receiving the weekend meals, and they have seen a 32% decrease in their malnutrition scores.
Wow.
That's pretty significant.
It
really, truly is, because as you heard Dana say in the video, when you don't meet your adequate nutritional needs, then everything is impacted. Everything is.
And I think what I'm so excited about this whole thing, Debbie, is that by setting up the whole process, that also engages some other folks. It could be a church. could be
Sure.
the school,
Sure.
could be some cafeteria.
Academic institutions.
Yeah, yes,
yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
because everybody has oftentimes a lot of excess food that sometimes they don't know what to do with that.
Right,
And,
right,
I mean,
right.
this way the system is set up, you've done, pioneer work on that. That would help us to even, reach out to not only in Davis County, all other counties too, to
Sure,
reduce the malnutrition
sure.
and everything.
And just to be clear, and Mayor Austin and I chuckled about this, it's truly not leftover
It's
food,
not a
right?
leftover, right.
That's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
allowed,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it is those large trays and bowls
Right,
of food
right.
and vegetables and those kinds of things that have not, have not hit the line or cafeteria or so on and so forth. But you touched on something, Jiten, that I think is critical, and this is where I started with in our dialogue. It truly was an honor for all of us to receive those 2 awards in
Right.
Louisville a couple of weeks ago. But the most exciting thing was you're right, that SE4A represented 8 or 9 southern states, and so many people from
Right.
Kentucky were there as well. And they now have the knowledge that
Right.
they need
Right.
to reach out to Morrison's Healthcare and some of the other food services in
Right.
their academic
Right.
institutions and hospitals to make this happen, because
Yes.
it can happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think this would mushroom to the point that many people are going to get the
Oh.
benefits of this whole project too.
Yeah,
At the minute
yeah.
I have, I do want to thank you
Oh,
also
you're welcome.
for taking a lead on having visioning just talents on not only on this project but everything we do for the 7 counties. And I know you've been very instrumental in regional planning, regional health planning, creating some wellness programs, for every age, especially for the younger generation. So I do want to thank you and thank the hospital for allowing you to do those things, because, oftentimes, just the giving a grant, from the foundation or whatever that is, it is not enough. You got to get engaged
no.
folks at the ground level, and you guys did a tremendous job
Thank
in
you.
engaging the folks. No, people like us, other agencies, and also the people in the school system.
No one entity can do it
Right,
alone.
yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And it's not always about the money. It wasn't about the money in this program.
Right.
It truly
Yeah,
wasn't.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
about coming together and really doing the right thing for the right reason.
And thank you, for being on the show, and also thank you for, implementing this program. And I can guarantee you that next year we're going to hear that some other states,
I
they're
hope
doing the
so.
same thing too. We'll
I
let you know
hope
that
so.
soon. Yeah. Again, we were talking to David Zuerner Johnson about the how they have worked with the Monday Center to feed the seniors, with the excess food that they have at the hospital at their cafeteria, and something that is so creative way, to meet the demand, meet the need. And people don't realize that, sometimes providing that meal to the seniors, homebound seniors, that may be the only contact the person receives on a daily basis. So I think there are a lot of benefits beside the food, and it's a great project. If you have any questions, you can always call me at the GRADD office. Please watch the video again, and also you can contact David Zuerner Johnson at the hospital. And have a great day. Thank you.